Well, coming up on today's show, should plug-in hybrids use rapid chargers? A new report today has an opinion, and boy did it spark some debate online. Formula E is back this weekend. We'll tell you why it's a must-watch, and why electric cars could spell the end of front-wheel drive forever. Those stories, many more, on today's podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's EV News Daily. It's a Tuesday, 11th of December, 2 weeks to go today until the big day. My name is Martyn Lee. I've been through every EV story I could find online today, and I've filtered out the ones I think you need to know about. Thank you to myev.com. They are the team who helped make this show, and very busy building their own website, their own marketplace, actually. It's a free marketplace for buying and selling and learning about EVs. It's myev.com. If you're in the USA, you are very lucky to have that as a resource, and maybe you've already bought and sold a car at myev.com. Hello to the newest member of our little gang that we have going on here in our corner of the internet. Hello, Sarah. Sarah McCann has just joined us as an executive producer on Patreon. Thank you very much, Sarah. We've got big plans for the podcast next year. I alluded to them yesterday, and I can say no more. Very exciting times, and you are helping fuel that growth and spread the word about EVs. Sarah McCann, thank you very much. In fact, looking at Sarah's email address, I'm wondering whether there's a story. I'll message her because it looks like there's, I'll say no more. I'm just wondering whether she's got some insights into EVs that the audience would like to hear about. Anyway, let's talk about the first big breaking news today, and that is Ghosn and Nissan, the Japanese automaker that Carlos pretty much saved from collapse. Both today were indicted on allegations of financial misconduct. It deepens the crisis that has already brought down one of the global car industry's most iconic figures. He was a beast in the industry, and thus far hasn't been allowed out to give his side of the story, though we understand he denies all charges, from Japanese media reporting that. According to CNN Business, Tokyo prosecutors have indicted Ghosn and Nissan because you can, with a company, as far as I understand, under their laws, apply the same for whatever they're accusing him of, also accusing Nissan of as well. Underreporting his income over a 5-year period, and now investigating allegations. The practice went on for even longer. Prosecutors said on Monday they are also arresting Ghosn and his colleague, Mr. Kelly, again, as they investigate additional allegations that the two men underreported Ghosn's income by more than $38 million from 2015 to 2017. Why do we talk about that on the podcast if you are new to us? Well, because he has pretty much forced through. So Nissan, Renault and Mitsubishi are in an alliance, and Ghosn's been overseeing that, actually, and a massively influential figure in electric cars. He is the man that pushed through the Renault Zoe, a fabulous little city car that if you go to France, you'll see a ton of, and plenty here in the UK. The Nissan Leaf, the world's biggest selling EV for now. Over 300,000 of them sold. He has been instrumental in pushing forward EVs. When you think about it, in Japan, and a company like Nissan and the Japanese government are very openly behind fuel cells and hydrogen. In fact, they have a plan to be the hydrogen society. They've pretty much nailed their colours to the mast. They want their car makers, Nissan, Toyota and Honda, to make fuel cell cars, not pure electric cars. So for him to fight all of that pressure and bring the world great EVs has been an incredible achievement. But now he's making news for other reasons. Well, talking of the Tesla Model 3 earlier in the week and referral codes, one of the questions that was asked to me when I went to go see the Model 3 on show in the UK for the first time, can we use a referral code now that the European configurator is open? Well, people have been working out how to use the European Model 3  6 months free supercharging referral code. This is what you do. According to Clean Technica, if you type in someone's referral code and you're a Model 3 reservation holder in Europe and you're about to configure, it'll take you to a page for the Model S or the X, and it doesn't work. What you do is send an email to Tesla. The email address is buildmy3emea at tesla.com with the word referral in the subject line. Then in the body of your email, put your name, your contact information, and your reservation number, the one that starts RN. And the referral code, the person's referral code that you would like to use, or you can use any that you find online or your favourite podcast, those kind of things. This is the method to use, says Clean Technica, if you've already configured your Model 3. It's a workaround for Europeans until Tesla get round to changing the website. Note, it may take a few days for them to update your order, but this method does work, by the way. And over the recent months, people have said to me, can you use my referral? I don't have a Tesla, by the way, but do you want my referral code? And I've thought about it a lot, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of referral codes, because there is a pretty ferocious argument happening online for both why you should use them and also those podcasts and YouTube channels that do have them, what it means for their independence for those people that do promote them and the ones that have won free cars and things like that. And in the meantime, if you do use a referral code of your favourite podcast or YouTube channel or friend or family member or a buddy in Europe, and you get that 6 months free supercharging and it's a Model 3, well, of course, we're going to have the CCS2 protocol on the Model 3. Are you even going to be able to charge them in your favourite supercharging station? Tesla are working hard to enable CCS and add CCS cables to the European superchargers. Earlier this year, I reported on engineers doing the preparatory work under the covers, things that were being reported on Reddit from users who are very reliable with their information. Always a big asterisk next to that to say, careful with this information, but it seems they were right, because all of that work has been done hopefully to enable a very quick rollout. I'm not saying all you've got to do is plug a cable into it on the other side, but it shouldn't be as much work as if you're starting from scratch. An aggressive push to add those cables if the wiring inside is already done. Tesla has said they'll prioritise the busiest stations around Europe. Big debate raging here in the UK today with an article that came out from one of our breakdown services. Plug-in hybrids should be stopped from using rapid chargers on motorways until they can accept electricity at a faster rate. According to Natalie Middleton, writing for Fleet World today, this coverage has got a load of newspaper and website press coverage. There's something about this story that has caught people's imagination. The development of the UK Public Charge Point Network report is the name of it. And what it says is there's widespread confusion over how fast different EVs can be refueled or charged up. And that is undermining efforts to provide an adequate public charging network. The RAC Foundation director, Steve Goodling, says a charge point will only ever be as rapid as the car that plugs into it. You and I probably know that. Pure EVs can need a quick top-up at the rapid charge points to get some range to get where you're going, but plug-in hybrids can need an hour to get the same charge, and ensuring drivers of pure EVs are not blocked from using those rapid charge points, particularly on the motorway network, where one company, Ecotricity, does have the monopoly, by the way. The report author Harold Dermott, who spent 35 years in motor manufacturing, says drivers of plug-in hybrids should be banned from using rapid chargers on the motorway network until there is a solution in place where plug-in hybrids can take the same charge rate as pure electric cars. And needless to say, that has sparked a lot of debate here in the UK today. I'm sure you have an opinion of it on it. If you have a plug-in hybrid yourself, you will be saying, I imagine, I have every right to plug in to any charger as any other electric car driver. And if you have been stuck not being able to charge because a hybrid owner has plugged in, best case scenario, sitting there for an hour on a rapid, worst case scenario, they've wandered off for a couple of hours, then I'm sure you'll have an opinion as well. Let's move on to what I'm so excited about this weekend, and that's Formula E. Formula E is a must-watch, says the BBC, and they do have some skin in the game, I believe that's the phrase, because coverage is coming to the BBC. So all of a sudden, we find BBC Sport promoting it pretty heavily. Hey, look, that's a good thing. Formula E gets underway in Saudi Arabia. This weekend, you can watch all 13 races live on the BBC. It's a big deal for Formula E to get that free-to-air coverage. And also, they're going to be broadcasting it on YouTube as well with a separate set of presenters. I forget their names, but I gather very kind of influencers on YouTube and all those kind of things, attracting a younger audience. The all-electric series takes place in some of the most iconic and eye-catching cities in the world, from Marrakesh to Paris, a season finale doubleheader in New York, and of course, they're going to some very famous cities as well. The 5th season of Formula E is going to be the most exciting and interesting so far. Some big names Among the 11 teams, 22 drivers. Opening race is at Riyadh. And it's going to be live on the BBC Sport website, the red button, and any connected TV. Starts at midday UK time on Saturday. Gary Rose for BBC Sport Today says one of the new things we're looking forward to is the attack mode. A bit like Mario Kart mode. It's another temporary speed boost that's going to be available to drivers during races, more than they've had so far. It's going to require drivers to take additional risks. You move off the racing line onto a different area of the track, and there's going to be this new mode activated that provides the car with a temporary power boost. And maybe the most significant addition to the lineup is Felipe Massa, mega famous Formula One driver. And the more drivers that go to Formula E that people know, I don't think Formula E ever needs Formula One drivers, but you can't deny that it helps to have recognisable names. Used to drive for Ferrari and Williams, retired from F1 last year. This season's going to race for Venturi. The Brazilian's going to be reunited with his former Williams reserve driver, Susie Wolff, the first female team principal in Formula E. Stoffel van Dorn, Fernando Alonso's current teammate at McLaren. Well, not anymore, because they've both left McLaren. Now the F1 season is over. Stoffel moves straight into Formula E and is going to race for HWA Race Lab, and I imagine has got one eye on a full Mercedes works drive next season as well, if he can do well. And when Stoffel was coming up through those series before Formula One, he was a beast on track and has been very unlucky in Formula One not to really connect with those F1 cars. Among the other competitors, names that you'll know like Nick Heidfeld, spent a decade in F1, former Toro Rosso driver Jean-Eric Vergne, who's the reigning champion. It's going to be a great season, and I'm so excited about it. I will definitely be watching and following Formula E super carefully. And this weekend, when it does start, the BMW I Andretti Motorsport team are going to be contesting their first race in Formula E, and they're going to be using a new drivetrain, the BMW iFE 18, at the heart of the car, developed exclusively for these new cars, the Season 5 cars, the Batman cars, if you like. They look amazing. The racing eDrive 01 is the BMW one. And they say the work on it began in 2017. So this is the culmination of so much work. The electric motor, which really drives everything, that beating heart of the car, is made up of 3 parts. First of all, I know we're getting geeky here, but I figure you like to know. So inside the electric motor, there is the rotor, the stator, and the casing. In order to reduce weight and for strengthening, amongst other things, the rotor has supports made of real high-tech fibre composites and some innovative materials like thermally conductive resins and titanium and ceramic use. This is real space-age stuff. A combination of state-of-the-art technologies gives a huge energy density to it. The motor is cooled by a 360-degree cooling geometry in the aluminium casing, manufactured via what's called like an additive procedure to create these materials that create, like I say, this state-of-the-art technology. Something that many people watch Formula One over the years for because they feel like they're watching the cutting edge. I want to remind you that Formula E is there, by the way. In addition to those kind of materials like ceramics and resins, there's all sorts of things like CFD in use, which is, I'm getting geeky now, computational fluid dynamics. And CFD has been used to really hone this technology to be the best it can be. The inverter in the car converts the direct current from the battery into AC, alternating current, that powers the electric motor, and that again is made from things like carbon fibre composites, super high-tech space-age stuff. This is at the very bleeding edge of technology, and we can't wait. Okay, back to road cars then. Eric at Green Car Reports notes that Volkswagen's head of e-mobility in North America, his name is Matthew Renner. And we're hearing more about these roundtable discussions with journos at the LA Auto Show last month. The electric cars that they are going to be making will mark the end of front-wheel drive, according to Motor Trend. Not that a front-wheel drive car is inherently bad. Some would say, actually, there are many benefits to having a front-wheel drive car and cost and weight and all those kind of things. But most electric cars today are and have been front-wheel drive, like the VW e-Golf, the Nissan Leaf. And the advantages of front-wheel drive for gas cars, for fossil cars, things like space and weight, lower cost, and better poor weather traction, all the weight of the engines over the drive wheels. There's no compelling reason to put the motor in the front of the car, though, and drive the front wheels. If you are designing an EV from scratch, you've got the option to drive either or all of them with no real weight penalty. These motors are not crazy heavy, by the way. Matthew Renner said this, and I quote, "With the improved dynamics of rear-wheel drive that lends itself to being better for a rear-wheel drive platform, it's the same efficiency, the same cost, then dynamics would prevail," end quote. So they can really look at the performance of the car. Furthermore, in an EV with even weight distribution, because you haven't got that heavy engine hanging off one end of the car, the rear could be where you want the power to go. That's where the body weight transfers. When you accelerate, that's where the weight goes to the back, and so you might well want to make your cars rear-wheel drive, and that could be why, over time, EVs are either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, but never front-wheel drive, because it's a legacy thing that just doesn't apply anymore. Final story today, and LG Chem, one of the largest chemical companies in the world, have picked ABB, another name that you'll know if you watch Formula E, ABB, to provide some equipment, things like substations, for the Europe's largest electric car battery. Now, it's being built in Poland, and I bring you this story as a little reminder, and there's no massive new news, but I want to remind you about this. It gave me an opportunity to talk about it, so I thought I would as the final item today. The new car battery plant that they're building in Poland is going to be capable of supplying 250,000 EVs a year with typical kind of size batteries going forward. It's the first large-scale lithium-ion battery plant for automotive applications, producing everything in one place. Battery components, electrodes, cells, modules, and eventually full battery packs as well. 250,000 cars coming out of this one, batteries for 250,000 cars from this one factory in Poland. More examples of investment happening all around the world. Thank you very much for listening today. Just so many good news stories at the moment, and it's just not. I thought it might get quieter towards Christmas, but if anything, it's just like so busy at the moment. Thank you very much to myev.com for setting the question of the week this week, and it's getting a really big response. So don't miss out. Make sure you send me your response to this one. As we head into 2019, let's find out what's on your mind. We've been setting question of the week all year, but now it's time to survey the audience, and I want to ask you what you think our future question of the week should be. So our question is the question. I like it. What do you think our next question of the week should be? What's on your mind? What's the burning issue in EVs? You tell us, and we'll ask it in the future. Thank you very much to 132 patrons of the show. We've added one with Sarah's name added to the list. On Patreon, you can support the show at various amounts. Some of those amounts, like $10, which is basically just like a posh coffee once a month. And if you support at that level, you get bonus content, and you get things at the weekend, more shows with the news that doesn't make the weekday shows. Patreon.com/EVNewsDaily. That's patreon.com/EVNewsDaily. And of course, if you do, we put your name in the show notes. Every single show online, on the podcast apps, on the blog, on Patreon itself. And if you have a company, for instance, let me know that as well, and I'll put it next to your name. Thank you very much for listening today. There are 322 episodes for free online. That's the beauty of what the Patreon support allows us to do. They will always be online for free. If you hit subscribe, you get them first and free and automatically every single day when you get a brand new one. And if you want to catch up on the socials, search EV News Daily to find me. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow.